The hugag is a fearsome critter resembling a moose, but with distinctive features. It's said to have an extensive upper lip that prevents it from grazing, and its legs lack joints, making it unable to lie down. The creature's name predates its mythical usage, appearing in various contexts such as a woodwind instrument and a mine name. The first mention of the hugag as a mythical animal dates back to the 1900 book In the Limestone Valley by S.W. Brown. The modern conception of the hugag is largely derived from William T. Cox. He describes it as moose-sized, constantly moving, with jointless legs and a long upper lip preventing grazing. Later accounts by Henry H. Tryon and Richard Dawson expand on Cox's description, adding details such as warts on the snout, bumps on the head, and a diet consisting of pine knots. The hugag's inability to lie down parallels legendary creatures from classic antiquity, such as Aristotle's description of an elephant and Julius Caesar's report of an elk.
Head, also known as Canonsis and linked to the Iroquois and Wyandot tribes, is a terrifying disembodied spirit with a large head covered in thick, dark hair and eyes that glow with a malevolent light. It is said to fly through the air, driven by an insatiable hunger and rage, often accompanied by sharp claws and fangs capable of tearing through its victims. Some stories describe the flying head as a monstrous being that stalks the night, beating its wings on the walls of houses and terrifying those within. Its appearance is often a harbinger of death, with a death typically followed soon after its visit. The origins of the flying head are linked to violent deaths, often from murder or other malevolent acts. This creature is believed to have been born from these tragic circumstances, cursed to wander as a vengeful spirit. It is particularly feared for its ability to move silently in its relentless pursuit of prey, often attacking those who are vulnerable, such as widows and orphans. In some legends, the flying head is associated with whirlwinds, amplifying its menacing reputation as a destructive force of nature.
For hundreds of years, stories have been told about entities that keep watch over the mountains, sometimes seen out of the corner of the eye and always from a distance. Stare too long and they vanish. If you're ever hiking in the wilderness of Big Sur and feel like you're being watched, it's because you are. Nobody knows how long the Dark Watchers have been guarding the Santa Lucias, but stories go back to the Spanish settlers in the early 18th century. The Santa Lucia Mountains were the final obstacle before reaching the Pacific Ocean. And this was a dangerous climb and had to be done carefully. And as they slowly made their way through the mountains, the settlers reported seeing dark figures watching them, and they called them Los Vigilantes Oscuros. Years later, American settlers reported seeing the same thing. So whether Native American tribe, Spanish settler, or casual hiker, everyone who travels the area gets an anxious feeling that they're being silently observed. It happens in the late afternoon, right before dusk. In the hills, usually when it's hazy, and you feel eyes on you from somewhere. You turn around and see a dark figure about 10 feet tall. It has long, thin legs and arms. You can't see its face, except for maybe dimly glowing eyes. Some have described them as wearing wide-brimmed hats and cloaks. And just as your eyes adjust and your brain starts to make sense of what you're seeing, the figure vanishes. So what are the Dark Watchers? Well, nobody knows for sure, but there are a couple of theories. The first one is that it's a simple case of pareidolia. Pareidolia is the human tendency to perceive a specific image in a random visual pattern. Some cases of pareidolia can be pretty compelling. I mean, look at this.
Well, now that will haunt me in my dreams.
Or the bacon murder clown.
Yeah, you got any funny ones? These are awful.
A pigeon poops a self-portrait. But these theories don't explain how people see dark watchers from a moving car. Well, I'm not saying they're real, but I will admit the scientific explanations are a little thin. I don't think we can put this one in the debunked column.
Well, be still my heart.
Legend of the Lizard Man of South Carolina can be traced back to a single chilling encounter on a dark summer night in 1988. Christopher Davis, a 17-year-old from Lee County, is said to have found himself face to face with a terrifying, unknown creature near the Skateboard Swamp. His account of that night set off a wave of hysteria and captured the imagination of residents, sparking a long-lasting fascination with the mysterious cryptid. On the night of June 29, 1988, Davis was driving home from his job at a fast food restaurant. It was around 2 a.m. and the road was desolate. As he neared the Skateboard Swamp, his car suffered a flat tire, forcing him to pull over and make repairs. With only the dim light from his car's headlights to guide him, Davis set to work on changing the tire. As he struggled with the task, he noticed something moving in the darkness nearby. A sense of unease began to wash over him, and he quickened his pace, desperate to get back on the road and away from the eerie atmosphere. Suddenly, a large bipedal creature emerged from the shadows. Standing approximately 7 feet tall, it had green, scaly skin and glowing red eyes that seemed to pierce the darkness. The creature approached Davis, its intentions unclear, but its presence was unmistakably menacing. Panicked, David hurriedly finished changing the tire, jumped into his car, and sped away from the scene. The creature, however, was not easily deterred. It gave chase, running after Davis's car and even managing to grab hold of it at one point. The monstrous entity swiftly clambered atop his vehicle. In a desperate bid to dislodge the creature, he slammed on the brakes, sending it tumbling off the car. This gave Davis enough time to escape. Davis later reported that the creature's long claws had scratched the vehicle's paint as it tried to maintain its grip. Shaken by his encounter, Davis shared his story with friends, family, and eventually local law enforcement. His accounts of the Lizard Man spread quickly, capturing the attention of both believers and skeptics alike. Soon, other sightings of the mysterious creature began to emerge, fueling the legend of the Lizard Man of South Carolina.
Let's talk about what the Gray Man actually is, or what people see and claim to be the Gray Man. Typically, he's seen as a dark, sometimes gray, translucent figure walking up and down the Pawleys Island beaches, usually with a cloak, no legs. Some describe him as looking like a pirate. Others describe him looking like a Civil War era soldier. People claim to see this figure before hurricanes or natural disasters. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Let's go into the history of this figure. Like every classic urban legend, the story is a love story. It's about a young man that was traveling they say he was going to Charleston, traveling southward to Charleston, to meet his love and to propose to her. But on the way, as the story goes, he was caught in some quicksand near the coast of Pawleys Island and passed away before he could ever reach his love. So what we have here is your typical lost soul wandering for his love. But that's where the story kind of takes a turn. What we know the Gray Man for nowadays is a warning or a good luck charm almost to some. Spirit was first seen in the 1820s, just before the town government was incorporated, Pawleys Island. This first sighting, he was described as a shadowy figure without legs, with a cloak or a large jacket of some sort. The story goes that if you see the Gray Man, that you're going to have luck during a natural disaster, typically what they refer to as a hurricane. So when the gray man is seen, people say, hey, a hurricane is coming, and if you're that lucky person who saw the gray man, supposedly you will be okay, that your home will be safe, and that you have nothing to worry about because he is going to protect you.
They range from about this tall to about 8 feet.
Mitchell Waite is the chief monster chaser for MuggyandMonster.com.
Well, I think they're the same species, but probably different races.
The Muggy and Monster is Arizona's Bigfoot. And according to Waite, the Muggy and Monster got his name in 1947 when a big, hairy beast raided a Boy Scout camp near Tonto Creek.
Because it happened on the Mogollon Rim, the Boy Scouts called it the Mogollon Monster. And that's kind of what stuck. I just happened to be catch something out of my corner of my eye, and I turned and looked, and this thing stood up out of a small cave. And my first thought was, it looked like Cousin It on the Addams Family, you know. But by the time I got it backed up, it had already covered probably 30 yards and disappeared into the bushes.
Waite showed us photos of the Muggy and Monster he and his team have captured.
Cal, look at
And this video from inside a cave made of sticks and pine needles.
Look at
This, says Waite, is a small baby Bigfoot trying to hide in the corner from his night vision camera. Waite has mapped Muggy and Monster sightings from across the state. There are many, but most are up on the rim, and he's had his own sightings.
Probably well over a dozen times now. Yeah. Basically, we try to tweak their interest to come to us.
It seems Bigfoot has a big sweet tooth.
Cookies or baked goods, anything sweet. They really like sweets.
And that is why I don't camp. Right there.
One of the most intriguing cases encountered is that of the Loveland Frogman, or Loveland Lizards. The story of these unique creatures began in May of 1955, on a lonely stretch of road that runs along the Miami River in Claremont County just on the outskirts of a small town known as Loveland. At approximately 3:30 a.m., an unnamed businessman claimed to have witnessed 3 bipedal reptilian entities gathering on the side of the road. The man pulled his car to the side of the curb and observed these creatures for what he estimated to be around 3 minutes. During this time, he noticed that these strange beings stood between 3 to 4 feet tall, were covered with leathery skin and had webbed hands and feet. However, their most distinguishing characteristic was their distinctly frog-like head, which the man claimed bore deep wrinkles where the hair should have been. Just as the man was about to leave, one of the creatures suddenly held what the witness could only describe as a wand. The eyewitness could then see the strange creature holding the wand above its head. Thus begins the bizarre legend of the Loveland Frogman.
Really, buddy?
He's a really cute guy, but I don't want him to live in my sink.
He clearly was not stuck in the sink. He would come and go. We didn't really want to break our sink. So we thought maybe there's a gentler way to encourage him to come out.
There he is. Oh, he's coming up? Oh my gosh. Okay. Hold on.
We didn't think we wanted a frog as a pet at that time, so we just thought we'd let him go.
Wow! A sing frog!
Came to realize that he was a Cuban tree frog, and I was not going to be able to re-release him because he is invasive.
Hi, buddy. Hi, nice to see you.
We decided to make him part of our family. You know, like, he has his own personality. You know, we think he's very zen. He's very suave. He's just a happy little fella.
Ah!